You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius, there are moments in life when everything seems to collapse at once. The plans we made fall apart. The people we trusted walk away. The peace we once felt turns into noise that never seems to end. In those moments, we look outward, searching desperately for something to hold on to, something that will quiet the storm. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us of a truth we often forget. We have no power over the storm, only over how we stand within it. Life will always test us. It will always bring days that seem unfair, cruel, or unbearable. But our mind, that sacred space within, remains ours to command. And once we learn to rule that inner kingdom, no chaos outside can conquer us. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, the sky darkens, and the world feels uncertain. You can't stop the thunder, you can't silence the rain. Yet within that storm, you have a choice: to panic or to breathe, to fight what you cannot change, or to find stillness amidst it. That stillness is Stoicism. It's not the denial of pain, but the discovery of peace despite it. The Stoics lived in a world of war, disease, betrayal, and death. Yet their writings speak of calm, patience, and inner strength. They didn't wait for a peaceful world. They built peace within themselves, and that is what made them unbreakable. In our modern lives, the storms look different. They come in the form of heartbreaks, failures, loneliness, anxiety, and endless comparison. We wake up and scroll through chaos, measuring our worth by what we see on screens. We chase perfection, validation, and control, yet the more we chase, the emptier we feel. The mind becomes restless, fragile, and easily shattered. But what if we stopped running? What if we learned, like the Stoics, to find peace not in what happens, but in how we respond? Imagine being so calm that no insult pierces you, so centered that no failure defines you, so wise that no chaos shakes you. That is emotional strength, the strength born from mastering the mind. To be emotionally unbreakable doesn't mean to be cold or distant. It means to feel deeply, but not drown in what you feel. To hurt, but not to hate. To lose, but not to lose yourself. The Stoics called this state ataraxia, the calm within the storm. It is the quiet courage to face life exactly as it is, without fear or resentment. Seneca wrote, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." True victory is not in defeating others, but in mastering one's own thoughts. The moment you realize this, you stop being at the mercy of the world. You become the eye of the storm, still, aware, and untouchable. So take a breath. Let the noise fade for a moment. This is your time to step inward, away from the endless movement of the world, into the stillness of your own being, because within that stillness lies the strength you've been searching for. In this video, we'll explore 10 Stoic practices that can transform your pain into power, your chaos into clarity, and your fear into peace. 10 timeless lessons that will help you become emotionally unbreakable. Welcome to the Stoic Journal, where ancient wisdom meets the modern soul, and where your journey toward inner strength begins. There comes a moment in every human life when the mind feels heavy, not from work, not from noise, but from the invisible burden of existing. You wake up and feel it before you even open your eyes. The thoughts waiting for you. The doubts whispering quietly at the back of your mind. The ache of being pulled in 1,000 directions while trying to appear calm on the surface. We live in a world that praises strength, yet few truly understand what it means to be strong. Because strength is not loud, it's not the absence of emotion. True strength, the kind the Stoics spoke of, is silent, steady, and born in moments of solitude. It's the power to remain whole, even when everything else falls apart. The Stoics were not saints or emotionless statues. They were men who bled, cried, and failed, yet chose to rise again, not through rage, but through reason. They didn't seek control over others. They sought mastery over themselves. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, ruled an empire yet struggled daily with his own mind. His writings, the Meditations, were never meant to be read by the world. They were reminders to himself of how to stay calm amid chaos. He faced betrayal, illness, and war, yet his greatest battle was always internal. He wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it." Stop complaining simple words, but within them lies a lifetime of discipline, the ability to accept pain without letting it poison the soul. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about understanding it. It teaches that emotions are not the enemy. Attachment is. The Stoics believed that peace comes from accepting the world exactly as it is, not as we wish it to be. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that no man is free until he masters his own thoughts. He lost everything except his mind, and that was enough. His lesson echoes through time. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. The storms of life are rarely what break us. It's our resistance to them that does. When we stop fighting what we cannot control, we discover a strange kind of freedom, and in that freedom, we begin to live with calm clarity instead of endless reaction. Our modern world, despite its progress, has made the mind more fragile than ever. We are constantly stimulated. Messages, opinions, news, pressure, and somewhere in that noise, we've forgotten how to be still. We've mistaken distraction for peace and movement for progress. We've built our identities around the approval of others, forgetting that happiness cannot be borrowed. It must be built. But this is why Stoicism is more relevant today than ever before. It reminds us to come back to the basics, to breathe, to observe, to accept. It teaches us that life will always bring pain, but it's our perception that decides whether it destroys us or strengthens us. You cannot control how the world treats you, but you can always control how you respond. In this video, we will explore 10 Stoic practices that can transform how you see yourself and the world. These practices are not abstract ideas. They are living, breathing habits that reshape the way you experience emotion. They teach you to anchor your peace not in people, not in possessions, but in principles. They help you build an inner fortress so strong that even when the world around you collapses, your mind remains unmoved. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The Stoics didn't just survive hardship, they thrived within it, because they understood that adversity is not the end, but the beginning of wisdom. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every disappointment becomes a stepping stone toward mastery. To be Stoic is not to avoid pain, but to use it. Pain, to the Stoics, is a teacher, one that strips away illusion and reveals truth. When life challenges you, it isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. It's showing you where you still lack discipline, patience, or understanding. The Stoics believed that virtue, the highest form of good, is born from enduring hardship with dignity. Every obstacle is a test of character, and every reaction is a reflection of who we are. The goal, then, is not to avoid hardship, but to meet it with strength and grace. To say calmly, this too is part of life. When you live with that mindset, you stop fearing what might come, because you've already accepted it. This is why Stoicism continues to resonate after thousands of years. Because beneath its philosophy lies something universal, the desire for peace that cannot be shaken. The Stoics understood that external victories fade. Wealth, beauty, fame, status, all are temporary. but the mastery of the mind is eternal. When you learn to detach your happiness from outcomes, you become untouchable. You stop being a prisoner of circumstance and become the author of your own state of being. That is the quiet revolution of Stoicism. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it simply transforms gently from within. So as you continue watching, let this not just be another video. Let it be a pause, a moment to breathe and remember what truly matters. You do not need to escape life to find peace. You only need to stop running from yourself. Sit with your thoughts. Watch them without judgment. Feel your emotions without resistance. That simple act, awareness, is where all strength begins. Because awareness is control, and control over the mind is control over everything. The Stoics found peace not by changing the world, but by mastering the art of staying calm within it. You can do the same. By the end of this journey, you'll hold within you 10 ancient tools for modern peace. You'll understand how to stand tall when life tests you, how to remain gentle in a cruel world, and how to stay centered when everything around you falls apart. The Stoics didn't promise a life free from suffering. They promised a mind strong enough to endure it, and in that endurance lies a freedom far deeper than happiness. It is the quiet knowing that no matter what happens, you remain whole. That is emotional resilience. That is the Stoic way, and that is where our journey begins. Every human being seeks peace, yet few truly understand where to find it. We search for it in achievement, in relationships, in the approval of others, only to realize that none of it lasts. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that peace is not the result of what happens to you, but how you choose to see it. When you stop chasing calmness in the outer world and begin cultivating it within, you become free. Life will always bring loss, uncertainty, and disappointment, but these are not punishments. They are invitations. Each challenge calls you to return home to yourself, to practice patience, to strengthen the mind that lives behind every thought. True Stoicism is not about detachment. It's about presence, being fully awake to the moment, yet untouched by its storms. It is about learning that even in pain, there is meaning. Even in silence, there is wisdom. And even in loss, there is growth. So as you prepare to journey through these 10 Stoic practices, open your heart as much as your mind. Let the words not just inform you, but transform you. Allow them to soften what has grown hard within you, to bring light into the corners you've long ignored. You're not here by accident. Something in you is seeking stillness, seeking strength. And the wisdom of the Stoics is ready to meet that part of you. Together, we will rediscover what it means to live with calm courage, to walk through life's storms without losing your center. By the end of this reflection, you'll see that peace isn't something to be found. It's something to be remembered. Because it has always been there, quietly waiting beneath the noise, within you. In a world that constantly demands your attention, one truth remains eternal. You control very little. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And yet, we spend most of our lives doing the opposite, worrying about how others see us, fearing outcomes we can't change, and fighting against the natural flow of life. Imagine how much energy we waste trying to rewrite what was never ours to control. The Stoic path begins with surrender, not the kind that weakens you, but the kind that sets you free. When you finally accept that your thoughts, actions, and attitude are the only things truly yours, everything else loses its power over you. Think of a ship captain steering through a storm. He cannot stop the wind or calm the waves, but he can steady his hands on the wheel. That's what Stoicism teaches, the discipline to guide your inner compass when the world shakes around you. When you focus only on what you can control, the noise begins to fade. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop trying to win every battle and start choosing which ones are worth fighting. This practice isn't about giving up. It's about gaining clarity, because once you know what's yours and what's not, peace becomes possible, even in chaos. Seneca believed that comfort weakens the spirit. He often practiced moments of voluntary hardship, sleeping on the floor, fasting, wearing simple clothes, to remind himself that happiness was not tied to luxury. He wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, saying to yourself, 'Is this the condition I feared?'" In modern life, discomfort is something we avoid at all costs. We fear hunger, boredom, loneliness, and failure. Yet these are the very experiences that shape resilience. The Stoic understands that to prepare for life, one must occasionally step outside the warmth of comfort. You can practice this today in small ways. Wake up earlier than usual. Turn off your phone for a day. Sit in silence with your thoughts. Walk when you could drive. Each act of simplicity strengthens the will and sharpens awareness. Discomfort reminds you of your capacity, that you can endure far more than you imagine. When you willingly choose difficulty, life's forced hardships no longer break you, because you've already faced them, calmly, intentionally, and with strength. To be emotionally unbreakable is to know that your peace does not depend on comfort, but on character. And character is built not when life is easy, but when it demands more of you than you thought you had. The Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It means imagining the things you fear losing, your possessions, your loved ones, your health, your success. Not to invite sadness, but to appreciate the fragility of life. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do, say, and think. In a world obsessed with avoiding pain, the Stoics dared to look it in the eye. And in doing so, they found gratitude. When you visualize loss, you begin to see the present as a gift. You stop taking people for granted. You speak more kindly. You live more fully. Try it. Close your eyes and imagine losing something precious, your home, your loved one, your freedom. Feel that ache and then open your eyes again. See how beautiful it all suddenly seems. This isn't morbid. It's awakening. The Stoic doesn't fear death or loss. They use them as reminders to live deeply. When you embrace impermanence, you stop clinging to life and start participating in it. Gratitude becomes your constant companion, and fear loses its hold on you. This practice turns anxiety into appreciation, transforming every ordinary moment into something sacred. Everything you love, everything you hate, every joy and sorrow, all of it is passing through you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change, life is opinion." And yet, we cling to moments as if they were meant to last forever. We try to freeze people in the versions of them we love, but time moves on, and so do they. The Stoic learns to see impermanence not as tragedy, but as truth. Because when you accept that everything changes, you learn to let go without bitterness. You stop resisting life's rhythm and start flowing with it. In modern life, we often mourn what's gone instead of celebrating what was. We trap ourselves in memories, trying to relive what has already ended. But Stoicism teaches the beauty of transience, to appreciate things because they end, like a sunset, or a song, or a single breath. When you see life through that lens, attachment dissolves. You love without clinging, and you grieve without despair. Emotional unbreakability begins here, in the quiet acceptance that nothing is truly ours, except the way we choose to see. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." Life itself rarely destroys us. It's our interpretation of life that does. Two people can face the same hardship. One sees ruin, the other sees rebirth. The difference is perception. The Stoics train their minds to step back, to observe their own thoughts as if from a distance. When emotion tries to take control, perspective brings you back to reason. It's not that the Stoic feels less, it's that they understand more. They see pain as part of growth, failure as part of mastery, loss as part of love. In our time, perspective is one of the rarest virtues. We react instantly to messages, to insults, to fear. We let emotion dictate our peace. But the Stoic pauses, takes a breath, reflects. They ask, is this worth my energy? Is this under my control? And most often, the answer is no. This habit of pausing, of reframing, changes everything. It creates space. And in that space, wisdom grows. Perspective doesn't erase pain, but it transforms it into understanding. The more you practice it, the less power anything outside you has to disturb your calm. For the Stoics believed that resistance is the root of suffering. We spend our lives wishing the world were different, wanting people to act a certain way, hoping outcomes unfold as we desire. Yet life rarely bends to our will. Epictetus said, "Don't seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do, and you will go on well." Acceptance, then, is not surrender. It is alignment. It's the wisdom to understand that peace doesn't come from controlling events, but from harmonizing with them. When you stop fighting reality, you begin to see beauty even in imperfection. Think of a river flowing around stones. It doesn't complain or stop. It moves with grace, shaping the obstacles into its path. In the same way, the Stoic flows with life's challenges. When something goes wrong, they ask, "Can this teach me something?" Instead of saying, "Why me?" they whisper, "Try me." This shift changes everything. Acceptance gives birth to strength, a quiet, unshakable kind of strength that doesn't depend on perfect conditions. Because once you accept what is, you stop being a victim of life and start being a student of it. And that is where emotional unbreakability begins to bloom. Seneca wrote, "To be calm is the highest achievement of the self." Stillness is not the absence of movement, but the mastery of reaction. In a noisy world that glorifies busyness, the Stoics seek silence, not because they reject the world, but because they wish to hear themselves. Stillness is where wisdom lives. It's where clarity emerges from confusion and peace rises from the ashes of overthinking. Yet most people fear silence. They fill every quiet moment with distraction, music, scrolling, conversation, anything to avoid facing themselves. But the Stoic welcomes that stillness like an old friend. You can practice this by simply sitting in silence each day, even for 5 minutes. Breathe deeply. Watch your thoughts pass by like clouds in a wide sky. No judgment, no chase, just awareness. The more you practice this, the less you'll be controlled by emotion. Stillness trains your mind to observe instead of react. It teaches patience, humility, and focus. And when the storms of life return, as they always do, you'll find that beneath the noise, there remains a deep, unshakable calm. The kind of calm that no one can give you, and no one can take away. One of the most beautiful Stoic ideas is Amor Fati, love of fate. It means not only accepting what happens, but embracing it as necessary. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." That is Amor Fati, turning every obstacle into fuel. Life doesn't always give you what you want, but it always gives you what you need to grow. When you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What can this make of me?" pain transforms into power. Picture yourself as that fire. Every hardship, every heartbreak, every failure, it all becomes energy that strengthens your flame. Amor Fati teaches you to love not just the good, but the difficult, to see beauty in the broken and to find peace in the path you're given. When you learn to love your fate, you no longer fight life, you dance with it. You trust that every twist and turn, every loss and delay carries meaning beyond your sight. And in that trust, fear fades away. The Stoic doesn't just endure fate. They fall in love with it, and that is true freedom. The Stoics kept death close, not as a source of fear, but as a teacher of urgency. Memento Mori means, remember that you must die. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. To remember death is to remember life, to live fully, intentionally, without delay." Most people avoid the thought of mortality, believing it dark or morbid. But the Stoic sees it as light, a reminder to value each breath, each sunrise, each moment shared with those we love. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine today was your last. What would truly matter? What would you let go of? The petty arguments, the regrets, the endless worries, all of it would fade. And what would remain is gratitude, presence, love. Memento Mori doesn't make you sad. It makes you awake. When you live with death in mind, every day becomes a gift. You stop postponing happiness and start creating it. The Stoic lives as if time were precious, because it is. And when you do that, you stop existing and begin truly living. For the Stoics, virtue was the highest good, the compass guiding every decision. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, these were the 4 pillars of the Stoic life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. B1 virtue means acting with integrity, even when no one is watching. It means doing what's right, not what's easy. In a world ruled by impulse and emotion, living by virtue is an act of rebellion, a declaration that your values are stronger than your moods. Emotions will rise and fall like waves, but virtue is the shore you can always return to. When anger tempts you to speak cruelly, choose kindness. When fear whispers that you'll fail, choose courage. When greed tells you to take more, choose fairness. These small moments define your character, and character, more than anything else, determines peace. The Stoic doesn't strive for perfection, but for consistency, to live in harmony with reason, to align thought with action. Virtue is the armor of the unbreakable soul. It protects you from chaos, anchors you in purpose, and makes you unshakably whole. There comes a moment in every person's life when the noise becomes unbearable, when the weight of expectations, regrets, and fears presses too heavily on the soul. In that moment, most people search for escape, something to numb the chaos. But the Stoic does not run. They sit with it, they breathe through it, they observe it not as punishment, but as practice. Because the Stoic knows that peace is not found in escaping storms. It is found in learning how to stand still within them. Every challenge, every loss, every silent heartbreak is a chance to return to the mind, to strengthen the inner fortress that no one else can enter. To be emotionally unbreakable is not to be untouched by life, but to be unshaken by it. The Stoic feels pain, but they do not surrender to it. They experience fear, but they do not serve it. They love deeply, but they do not cling. Their calmness is not the calm of ignorance. It is the calm of understanding. They have looked directly into the chaos of existence and decided to remain whole. That is why their peace is so powerful, because it has been tested in fire. When Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations, he was surrounded by war, betrayal, and disease. Yet his words are filled with compassion, clarity, and serenity. He did not ask for an easier life, he asked for a stronger mind. The Stoics understood that our true battle is not with the world, but with ourselves. To master one's emotions is to master one's destiny. Every Stoic practice leads to this same realization, that control, stillness, and strength are born from within. When you learn to separate what is yours from what is not, you become untouchable. The storms still come, but they cannot enter you. Imagine yourself standing on a mountain as the wind howls and the sky darkens. Around you, the world moves in chaos, but within you, there is silence. That silence is not emptiness. It is power. It is awareness. It is the understanding that everything outside you is temporary, but the self that observes it is eternal. This is the mind the Stoics built, a mind that remains steady amid change, graceful amid loss, and humble amid success. The modern world makes us forget this truth. We are told that strength means never feeling weak, that happiness means never being sad. But Stoicism teaches otherwise. Strength is not the absence of pain, it is the endurance of it. Happiness is not constant pleasure, it is inner harmony. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, when you stop fearing what will inevitably end, you begin to live with a quiet dignity that no one can disturb. The Stoic lives by choice, not by impulse. They choose reason over reaction, purpose over distraction, virtue over comfort. And in that choice lies true freedom. We live in an age of endless noise. Screens flashing, opinions shouting, emotions boiling. People mistake movement for meaning, busyness for progress. But the Stoic sees through the illusion. They know that stillness is not laziness, and quiet is not weakness. In stillness, you begin to see clearly. You begin to hear your own voice beneath the noise of the world. The Stoic returns to this silence again and again, polishing the mirror of the mind until it reflects truth without distortion. Every practice we explored, from focusing on what you can control to embracing Amor Fati, is a tool to return to this silence. It is a reminder that no matter how loud the world grows, peace is never far. It is always waiting beneath the surface, beneath the emotion, beneath the thought. The Stoics' task is simply to remember. To remember that they are not their anger, not their fear, not their past, but the awareness watching it all. When you begin to live this way, something changes. Life stops feeling like a battlefield and starts feeling like a lesson. Every moment becomes a teacher, every loss a path, every challenge a mirror showing you where you still cling. Slowly, you begin to understand what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. The Stoic doesn't run from obstacles. They welcome them. Because they know that strength without struggle is an illusion. It is only through hardship that the soul becomes unbreakable. And so, the Stoic learns to thank the pain that once made them bitter. They learn to bless the delays, the heartbreaks, the moments of solitude, because each one carved wisdom into the soul. Each one revealed a truth hidden beneath comfort. To live as a Stoic is to live with open eyes, seeing the beauty in both joy and sorrow. It is to understand that life is not something to be conquered, but something to be harmonized with. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe. Think of the chaos that surrounds you, the worries, the disappointments, the noise. Now imagine drawing a circle around yourself. Within that circle lies everything you can control. Your thoughts, your choices, your perspective. Everything outside it is not yours to carry. This is the essence of Stoic peace, to stay fully alive in the moment, fully aware of your limits, and fully accepting of reality. That awareness is where freedom begins. And when you walk through the world with that awareness, calm, patient, humble, you begin to radiate a different kind of strength. Not the kind that intimidates, but the kind that comforts. Not the kind that seeks power, but the kind that gives peace. People will feel it in your presence. The quiet steadiness, the deep calm. Because Stoic strength is silent, not loud. It doesn't shout, it simply endures. This is what it means to be emotionally unbreakable. Not to never fall, but to always rise. Not to be invincible, but to be unshaken. The Stoic does not escape life. They embrace it. They do not suppress emotion. They refine it. They do not chase happiness. They create meaning. And in doing so, they become something rare. A soul at peace in a restless world. And now, as this reflection comes to an end, take a moment to breathe. Let everything you've heard settle quietly within you, like dust after a long storm. You have walked through the teachings of the Stoics, through 10 practices that have stood the test of time. From focusing on what you can control to loving your fate, from remembering death to living by virtue, each one carries a piece of the same truth, that peace is not found in changing the world, but in mastering yourself. The Stoics were not gods nor saints. They were human beings who chose awareness over chaos, presence over distraction, calmness over fear. And you can make that choice too, right now, in this very breath. Imagine your life as a journey through a vast landscape. Some days will be calm, with skies painted in gold and light. Others will be heavy, dark and uncertain. But through all of it, there is one path that never disappears. The inner path. The road that leads inward, toward the self that watches, understands, and endures. That is where your true home lies. Not in possessions, not in validation, not in the fleeting approval of the world, but in your own mind. When you learn to walk that inner path with awareness and grace, nothing outside you can shake what's within. You become still in movement, calm in chaos, free in limitation. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity. For he is not permitted to prove himself. You are proving yourself every day. Not through success or perfection, but through your willingness to keep going, to keep growing, to keep returning to peace when the world demands reaction. Every breath you take in awareness is an act of courage. Every act of restraint is a sign of mastery. And every moment of stillness in the middle of a restless world is proof that you are becoming emotionally unbreakable. Remember this. You are not your emotions. You are the space in which they arise. You are not your past. You are the awareness that learns from it. You are not the storm. You are the calm that stands within it. The Stoic does not escape pain. They transform it. They turn every challenge into a lesson, every failure into wisdom, every loss into love. And when you live this way, peace stops being something you search for. It becomes who you are. So as you step back into your world, into the noise, the uncertainty, the movement, carry this silence with you. The silence of understanding, the silence of strength. Let it guide you when you feel lost. Let it steady you when life becomes heavy. Let it remind you that the greatest power you will ever hold is the ability to remain calm in a world that is not. Because when you master that, you have mastered yourself. Thank you for spending this time with the Stoic Journal. If this reflection spoke to something within you, if it helped you find even a moment of peace, then I invite you to join this journey further. Subscribe, not just to this channel, but to the practice of stillness itself. Leave a comment below and share your favorite Stoic principle, the one that resonates most with your current chapter in life. Because when wisdom is shared, it multiplies. And as we close, remember these words from Marcus Aurelius. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Every new sunrise is a quiet invitation to live with virtue, to act with courage, and to meet the day with peace. The Stoic life is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. And in that wholeness, you will discover a strength the world cannot touch. Until next time, stay grounded, stay calm, and stay true to your inner stillness. This is the Stoic Journal, where ancient wisdom meets modern life.